Night fell over New Haven again, but this time the city seemed quieter, almost deceptively calm. The streets were lit with the soft glow of street lamps, reflecting off puddles from a light evening rain. People moved cautiously, their laughter subdued, as if they were still listening for whispers of the previous night's horrors. Kadir hovered beside me on the rooftop of the high bridge, scanning the city below with his radiant eyes. "Master," he said, voice low, "Shamhureş is already weaving his influence. He tests patience in smaller ways now, through fear, doubt, and despair in the hearts of those he cannot touch physically. If we do not act, even a single corrupted soul can unravel everything we fought for." I clenched my fists, the weight of responsibility pressing on my shoulders. "Then we root it out before it spreads. We cannot let fear take hold where hope should grow." We descended into the heart of the city, where shadows had begun to move subtly. At first, it was nothing more than a feeling, a chill in the alley, a fleeting glimpse of a figure at the corner of my eye, but soon it became clear that Shamhureş was testing the loyalty and faith of New Haven citizens. We encountered Detective Marla Green, a trusted ally in the city's watch, in the alley behind the municipal library. Her eyes, usually sharp and confident, flickered with doubt. "Hüddam. I can't explain it, but something doesn't feel right. People, some of the officers, they're different." Kadir's light flared softly. "They are not lost entirely, but the shadow of Shamhureş touches them. Fear and anger can cloud judgment. We must guide them, or his whispers will take root." I stepped forward. "Marla, listen to me carefully. Your courage is real, but the darkness preys on uncertainty. Trust yourself. Trust your training. And remember the power of patience and faith. You are stronger than the fear he plants." Her breathing steadied, and a faint glow returned to her eyes. I understand. I will fight it." We continued through the city, encountering others, shopkeepers, teachers, even children, subtly manipulated into mistrust and agitation. It was a psychological battlefield, silent but deadly. Every misstep could lead to panic, and panic could summon chaos more destructive than any creature. At the old New Haven Cathedral, we found the epicenter of Shamhureş's influence. The air was thick, almost tangible, with a black mist that slithered along the floor like living smoke. I placed my hands over my chest, Kadir beside me. This is his testing ground. The heart of fear, built not from flesh, but from doubt and despair. Kadir's radiant form flared, and the mist recoiled. "He cannot harm you directly here," he said, "but he can push the weak-willed to serve him unknowingly. We must cleanse this place, and the only weapon strong enough is patience grounded in faith. Words alone will not suffice, intent and courage must guide them." I took a deep breath and began reciting protective verses aloud. Each word resonated, vibrating through the cathedral's stone pillars and the stained glass windows, sending tremors through the dark mist. The black tendrils writhed, shrieking as the verses struck them. Kadir joined in, his voice a rolling light, echoing with authority, reinforcing my words and our presence. The mist resisted, shaping itself into the forms of the city's inhabitants, twisted and angry. I recognized faces of those I had protected before, the baker, the school principal, even Marla Green, each one distorted, accusing me, questioning my faith. "You cannot save us. You will fail," they screamed. I felt the pull in my chest, the familiar test of patience and endurance. "This is Shamhureş's trick," I whispered. "These are not them. They are his illusions, designed to weaken me. But my faith remains my shield." Kadir's light flared violently, and the illusions shattered, their screams echoing into nothingness. The black mist recoiled entirely, retreating into the shadows of the cathedral corners, hissing like snakes denied their prey. I exhaled, wiping sweat and tears from my face. It is not over, I said, voice steady. He will try again. He is patient, but so am I. We protect this city not only with power, but with resolve, with guidance, with patience. Kadir nodded, hovering beside me. Next time, his attempts will be more subtle, more dangerous. He will exploit the bonds people hold dear, family, friendship, trust. We must be vigilant not only in battle, but in hearts and minds. The city's lights flickered as if in acknowledgement, a quiet reminder that even in darkness, hope persevered. New Haven had survived another night, but the war against Shamhuresh's cunning had just entered a more dangerous phase. I looked toward the horizon, the first light of dawn breaking over the skyline. Then we prepare, I said, voice firm. And when he strikes again, we will meet it not with fear, but with patience, faith, and unshakable courage. Kadir's light pulsed in agreement. Together, we turned from the cathedral, ready to fortify the city, hearts steeled for the trials yet to come. The morning sun rose over New Haven, but the streets were far from peaceful. Though the black mist in the cathedral had retreated, its presence lingered like a slow poison in the corners of the city. Shamhuresh's influence had not disappeared, it had only gone underground, whispering into hearts and minds, invisible but deadly. I walked with Kadir through the crowded streets of downtown, observing subtle signs, a shopkeeper arguing violently over a trivial debt, children sneaking away from school in fear, and officers hesitating to respond to ordinary disturbances. Master, Kadir said, voice low and urgent, these are not random events. Shamhureş is testing patience and obedience, creating mistrust. Each small disruption weakens the bonds that hold this city together. I nodded, feeling the invisible tension pressing on every citizen like a weight. Then we must act subtly, I said. Not with fire and light alone, but by planting courage, reinforcing faith, and guiding their hearts. Our first stop was the New Haven Central Library, a place once alive with community and learning, now shadowed by quiet fear. As we entered, the whispers grew stronger, twisting the air into low, insidious murmurs. You are alone, nothing you do matters, even your protector can fail. I clenched my hands. They cannot deceive me if I remember truth, I whispered. I drew Kadir's light close, letting it radiate outward, dissolving the shadows clinging to the walls. The whispers hissed in frustration, coiling around the bookshelves like serpents, but could not penetrate our presence. From the far corner of the library, a shadow separated from the wall and took shape, a humanoid figure with smoldering eyes and claws tipped with dark fire. It hissed, Hüddam, you saved the city once, but now the city itself doubts you. They will betray you before I even touch you. I stepped forward, grounding myself. Faith is stronger than whispers, and courage is born in hearts that endure. You will find no victory in doubt. I raised my hands, and Kadir's radiance surged, illuminating the library. The shadow recoiled, smoke trailing from its fingers. The figure lunged, striking, but each blow dissolved into light before it could reach me. I felt the strain in my chest, the test was no longer physical. Shamhureş had learned from Almasp, now he attacked patience and resolve, shaping fear into weapons. I focused, whispering protective words and reciting verses, letting intention guide the power rather than the shirt or the seals. Kadir's voice joined mine, harmonizing, amplifying our faith into a shield that turned the shadow's fury against itself. The shadow shrieked, its form faltering, twisting violently. Then it paused and split into smaller shadows, each darting into the library, taking the form of real people I knew, Marla Green, the bakery owner, even a child from the neighborhood. They will fail you, they hate you, they fear you. I shut my eyes, holding Kadir close. No, I whispered, voice steady. These are not them. You are illusions, nothing more. I trust the hearts of New Haven, and they will endure if guided. Slowly, the shadows dissipated, hissing like steam as light burned through them. The library fell silent again, the air clearer, though tension still lingered like a faint echo. Kadir hovered beside me, wings of light shimmering faintly. This is only the beginning. Shamhureş tests subtly before the overt attacks. He will try to turn allies into enemies, to make doubt a weapon stronger than any fire or claw. I nodded. Then we prepare, not just for combat, but for endurance. Every citizen is a battlefield, every heart a fortress. And we will guide them. Outside the library, the city seemed calm once more, but I knew better. Darkness had not fled, it had only hidden. And soon, it would return, whispering, twisting, testing patience and courage in ways more dangerous than any physical foe. As we walked back toward the high bridge, I realized that Shamhuresh's war was no longer just a fight against monsters, it was a fight for the city's very soul. And Kadir and I would stand at the forefront, the unseen guardians against the invisible enemy. The night fell over New Haven like a heavy curtain, thick with tension. The air smelled faintly of smoke and fear. I moved cautiously through the streets with Kadir by my side, his light dimmed to a soft glow so as not to draw attention. Every street lamp flickered as if trembling, casting shadows that seemed alive. Shamhureş had escalated his attacks. Now he was no longer hiding, he was sowing fear in every corner, twisting the city itself into a weapon. Windows shattered spontaneously, cars skidded uncontrollably, and whispers of panic spread like wildfire. From above, dark shapes darted between rooftops, almost invisible, except for the faint glint of eyes that reflected Kadir's light. "Master," Kadir said, voice tight, "this is more than psychological. Shamhureş is combining chaos with deception. Every citizen we pass is a potential enemy, not in intent, but in fear. They might strike blindly or flee and worsen the chaos." I nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. Then we move carefully. Our mission is not just to confront the darkness, but to protect the innocent. Every step, every word counts. We turned down Maple Avenue, the main thoroughfare. The street was in chaos. People ran in all directions, some screaming, some frozen with terror. A group of teenagers bickered violently, suddenly throwing punches and breaking streetlights. A car swerved dangerously, almost hitting an elderly man who clutched his cane. I raised my hands, letting the remnants of Kadir's light radiate in gentle waves, calming the hysteria just enough to slow the chaos. The crowd froze, tension hovering, as if time itself hesitated. "Stay calm," I shouted, voice carrying over the panic. "You are safe if you trust and endure." From the shadows, a tall figure emerged, cloaked in darkness. Its voice was like gravel on broken glass. "Hüddam," it hissed, "your light is weak, and your patience will crack. These people will betray you, and when they do, you will fall alone." I stepped forward, determination flaring. "I do not walk alone," I said. "Every heart that trusts in courage and patience walks with me. And no illusion, no fear, no shadow can change that." The shadow lunged. This time, its attacks were faster, more violent, striking at both the body and the mind. Flames shot from its hands, black and hot, and at the same time, whispers flooded my thoughts. "They are your enemies. They hate you. You are powerless." I clenched my teeth and whispered prayers, Kadir amplifying them with his light. The flames dissolved before they reached me, and the whispers thinned as I focused on the truth. The city's people were not enemies, they were terrified, and their fear was the weapon Shamhureş wielded. I realized then that victory would require more than light or strength, it would require strategy, patience, and trust. I gestured to Kadir, and together we moved through the streets, guiding civilians into safety, calming the frightened, standing as beacons of resolve. Every person we saved became a small shield against Shamhuresh's chaos. The shadow roared in frustration, its voice shaking buildings. You cannot stop me. Fear will consume them, and you with them. I paused in the middle of the street, looking up at the dark sky. If fear is your weapon, then courage is mine. You cannot touch what is protected by faith. I extended my hands, and Kadir's light flared, spreading like a sunbeam over the avenue. The shadow hissed, recoiling, as the frightened people felt warmth and resolve replacing terror. Slowly, they began to move, helping one another, finding safety, acting in courage rather than panic. Shamhuresh screamed in fury from the shadows, retreating into the darkness above, his whispers fading but not gone. This is only the beginning, he hissed. Your patience will end. The city will break, and you with it. I lowered my hands, exhausted but steady. No, I said quietly. Patience is unbreakable if it is rooted in truth and faith. The city will endure, and so will we. Kadir hovered beside me, wings of light glowing faintly. This is indeed only the beginning, he said. Shamhuresh will escalate further. But we have proven one thing tonight, the people, when guided, can resist even the greatest darkness. I nodded, glancing over the recovering streets. The night was still dangerous, still filled with shadows, but a spark of hope had been lit. And hope, I realized, was stronger than any darkness Shamhuresh could summon. The dawn broke over New Haven, but it brought no peace. Smoke curled from shattered rooftops, the air thick with the smell of burning asphalt and fear. Shamhuresh had not retreated, he had merely regrouped. His presence was palpable, a heavy shadow over the city, twisting reality itself. Kadir hovered beside me, his light muted to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. Master, he said, he's consolidating power. This morning, the city will face a coordinated assault. He's learned from last night's failure. He will strike simultaneously with shadows, illusions, and chaos to overwhelm us. I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing against my chest. Then we must prepare every ally, every strategy. The city itself must become a shield. If we can turn fear into courage again, we can withstand him. We moved through the streets, checking on civilians, reinforcing barricades, and whispering prayers of protection. Slowly, we guided people into safe zones. Kadir's light radiated in subtle waves, strengthening resolve, granting calm to terrified hearts. Every action was meticulous, every movement deliberate, patience was our weapon. Suddenly, the skyline darkened. Hundreds of Shamhuresh's minions, dark silhouettes with glowing red eyes, poured into the city from every rooftop and alleyway. A shriek echoed through the air, chilling the bones. Hüddam, Shamhuresh's voice boomed, you cannot save them all. Chaos is inevitable. Watch your city crumble. I raised my hands, speaking loudly enough for all to hear. Everyone. Trust in courage, trust in each other. We are not helpless. Stand firm. The civilians, emboldened by Kadir's light and my words, began resisting. They reinforced barricades, helped each other move debris, and formed protective lines. Fear was being transformed into action. Shadows clashed with human determination, and for the first time, I saw Shamhuresh hesitate. Kadir turned to me, wings flaring lightly. Master, his strength is immense. We must focus on the core, the source of his power. If we can isolate him, the minions will falter. I nodded. Then we split. You take the north sector and lead civilians to safety. I will confront him directly, but carefully. Patience and faith are my shields. As I advanced toward the city square, the ground trembled beneath my feet. Buildings twisted unnaturally, streets shifted, and illusions of my friends and family appeared, accusing me of failure. I pressed my hands to my chest, whispering prayers, letting faith dispel the illusions. The seal of light within me flared, dissolving every trick Shamhureş threw. Finally, I reached the heart of the city where Shamhuresh's shadow loomed, colossal and terrifying. "You persist," he hissed, voice like grinding stone. "Your faith is a candle against an endless storm. It will extinguish." I planted my feet firmly. Faith does not extinguish. It endures. You are only a test, and I will pass. The battle began in earnest. Shadows swarmed, claws tearing through reality itself. Flames erupted from the ground, and whispers of despair assaulted my mind. But I moved with patience, deflecting attacks with light and reciting prayers that acted as shields. Every strike I avoided, every step I held, was a statement: courage can outlast fear. Shamhureş, frustrated, hurled illusions of the city itself collapsing. Skyscrapers twisted, bridges bent, streets disappeared under black chasms. I felt the pressure of the city's despair pressing down. But I realized something vital: Shamhuresh's power thrived on fear. As long as even a single soul resisted, his strength waned. I raised my hands to the sky. "All who walk with courage, all who stand with faith, lend me your strength." A wave of resolve erupted through the city. Kadir, leading the north sector, amplified it with his radiant wings. Together, we transformed fear into collective courage. The shadows faltered. Minions fell into the light, dissolving. The illusions shattered. Shamhureş roared, the sound like 1,000 breaking walls. "Impossible! You cannot turn their hearts against me." I stepped forward, calm and resolute. I am not alone, and neither are they. Courage and faith are stronger than darkness, stronger than fear. For the first time, Shamhureş hesitated, his colossal form faltering. His minions, now leaderless, dissipated like mist in sunlight. The illusions of destruction collapsed. The city, though battered, stood. Kadir landed beside me, glowing brilliantly. "Master, the first wave has been repelled. But this is not the end. He will return, stronger, more cunning. We must plan for the final confrontation." I nodded, feeling exhaustion yet determination surging. "Then we prepare. We have proven tonight that faith and patience can defend even against unimaginable chaos. New Haven will endure, and so will we. The siege is not victory, but a lesson. And we will learn it well." The streets, though scarred, began to quiet. Survivors emerged, helping each other, lifting debris, and slowly reclaiming their city. The battle was far from over, but hope, pure, unyielding hope, had returned to New Haven. Night fell over New Haven, but it was unlike any ordinary night. The city streets, though still scarred from the first wave, were quiet, an eerie calm before the ultimate storm. The air buzzed with anticipation and fear. Shamhuresh's presence had grown palpable, and I could feel his malice like a heavy fog pressing down on every building, every alley, every human heart. Kadir hovered at my side, radiant but tense. "Master, this is it. He's consolidating all his remaining power. The illusions, the shadows, the fear, they will come at once. There will be no reprieve. If we fail now, the city, maybe the world, will succumb to him." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of responsibility settle like armor over my shoulders. "Then we face him together. Not just as soldiers, but as the embodiment of every hope, every prayer, every act of courage in this city. We turn despair into resistance, fear into determination. We move toward the heart of New Haven, the epicenter of Shamhuresh's power." The streets twisted unnaturally beneath our feet, buildings warped as though reality itself feared his presence. From the shadows, a legion of minions emerged, grotesque silhouettes with glowing crimson eyes. They shrieked, charged, and struck with claws that tore at the air itself. I lifted my hands and began reciting prayers aloud, each verse acting like a shield. The seal of light within me flared, pushing back the darkness. Kadir mirrored my actions, radiating waves of calm and courage, bolstering the citizens who had gathered in safe zones. Together, we became a beacon, a focal point of resistance. Shamhureş appeared above the city square, colossal and terrifying, his eyes pits of molten rage. "You persist," he roared, voice shaking the skyline itself. "Faith and courage are mere illusions. They will not save this city." I planted my feet firmly on the cracked asphalt. "You are wrong. As long as even a single heart resists, your power diminishes. Darkness thrives on surrender, but we do not yield." The battle began in earnest. Shadows and flames tore through the city, illusions of collapsed skyscrapers, falling bridges, and consuming chasms assaulted my mind. My heart raced, but I held firm. The seal of light flared again, dissolving every attack. Kadir struck in tandem, his luminous wings scattering the shadows like sparks across a storm-darkened sky. Shamhureş hurled illusions of friends and family, accusing me of failure and cowardice. My knees buckled beneath the weight of the mental assault, but I whispered prayers, grounding myself in faith. The illusions shattered, leaving only the reality of courage and resilience. "Master," Kadir's voice rang through my mind, his power peaks when fear rules the hearts around him. "As long as people resist, he weakens. Lead them. Show them that courage can endure." I raised my voice to the gathering citizens, "Everyone. Stand. Protect your home. Protect your hope. Courage is stronger than fear." And they did. From every corner of the city, they rose, hands shaking, voices trembling, but hearts steadfast. Barricades were reinforced, lines held firm, debris cleared to create safe zones. With every act of bravery, the shadows faltered. With every prayer, the darkness retreated. Shamhureş shrieked in frustration. "Impossible! You cannot turn their hearts against me." I stepped forward, unwavering. "I am not alone, and neither are they. Faith is our shield. Courage is our sword." The colossal shadow wavered. Its minions, leaderless and uncertain, dissolved into mist. The illusions of destruction collapsed. Shamhureş's roar became a bellow of panic, but I did not falter. Kadir descended beside me, radiant and calm. "Master, the first wave is repelled. But he will return. His final assault will be unlike anything we have faced. We must prepare for the ultimate confrontation." I nodded, exhaustion weighing on me, but determination burning brighter. We have survived his test of patience. Now, we confront him not with fear, not with power alone, but with faith, courage, and unity. This city stands because we refuse to yield. The streets, though battered, began to echo with resilience. Survivors helped each other, reclaiming the city. Fear transformed into hope, despair into action. We had faced the first storm, and survived. The final battle, however, was coming, and this time, Shamhureş himself would descend. The city was quiet. Skyscrapers loomed in the night, their windows dark except for the occasional glow from streetlights. I stood at the edge of the park, Kadir by my side, the echoes of Almasp's fury still vibrating through the streets. The smell of scorched asphalt and smoke lingered, but the air felt lighter. For a moment, I allowed myself to breathe, knowing that the immediate threat had passed. Kadir's light dimmed slightly, though it still radiated with brilliance. "Master," he said, his voice firm yet calm, "we cannot linger. Shamhureş will know of Almasp's fall, and he will act quickly. We must be ready." I nodded, gripping the memory of the shirt in my mind. It had been destroyed, but the faith it symbolized remained within me. "You're right," I said, my voice echoing against the concrete canyons. "We've survived this night, but the real challenge is still ahead." We moved through the streets cautiously, blending into the shadows. Even in the heart of New York, a city alive with lights and noise, the supernatural war we waged remained hidden. Ordinary people passed by, oblivious to the battle that had raged above them. It was a strange comfort, this dual life, the mundane and the divine intertwined in a single moment. As we reached the subway entrance, I paused. "Kadir, how do we prepare for Shamhureş?" Almasp was terrifying, but he was a warning, not the final test. Kadir's eyes glowed brighter. "Preparation begins with knowledge, master. Shamhureş manipulates fear and time. We need a place where we can train, where he cannot reach us immediately. There is a hidden site north of the city, beneath the abandoned steel plant. Its wards are strong, and the residual power from previous battles will shield us." I exhaled, the tension in my shoulders easing slightly. "Then we move there at first light. Tonight, we rest in the shadows. The city must not know the war is not over." We settled in a small, hidden alley, the glow from Kadir illuminating our surroundings just enough to see each other. I closed my eyes and whispered prayers, letting the words flow like water over my fear. Every prayer reinforced the bond between us, and I felt the faint presence of Almasp's remnants retreating into nothingness. Kadir rested beside me, silent but vigilant. "Master," he said after a long pause, "your patience has carried us this far. Even now, when the world seems against you, remember, our strength is not in our power, but in the faith that guides it." I nodded, feeling the weight of every battle, every loss, and every victory pressing on me. "I will remember," I said, my voice firm despite the exhaustion. "We've come too far to falter now. Shamhureş will not find us unprepared." The night stretched on, quiet and still, but within me, the fire of resolve burned brighter than ever. Almasp was defeated, Kadir was restored, and yet the final confrontation awaited. We would face it together, bound by trust, light, and unyielding faith. The first rays of dawn would bring our journey to the steel plant, where destiny awaited. And I would not walk into it unprepared. Morning broke over the city with a muted gray light. Fog clung to the streets like a veil, and the distant hum of traffic reminded me that life went on as if nothing had happened. But we knew better. The war was far from over. Kadir and I moved through the outskirts of the city, heading north toward the abandoned steel plant. The place had been a relic of industry, long deserted, its massive chimneys rising like the spires of a forgotten cathedral. The shadows of the plant seemed alive, whispering secrets of the past, and yet the place exuded a strange kind of safety, a shield forged from residual power, untouched by Shamhureş. As we entered the main hall, I felt the weight of the atmosphere. Steel beams groaned under their own age, and shards of broken glass glinted in the light filtering through shattered windows. Kadir's radiance filled the space, pushing back the darkness. "Here," he said, his voice echoing, "we are hidden. Shamhureş cannot reach us immediately. But time is short, master. His eyes are everywhere." I examined the space. Rusted machinery, empty conveyor belts, and piles of metal scrap created natural barriers. The residual wards were faint but present, humming softly beneath my skin. "We'll train here," I said. "We need strength, speed, and, most importantly, control over our faith. Shamhureş doesn't just test the body, he tests the soul." Kadir nodded. "Correct. First, we fortify your patience and your connection with the light. Then, we focus on strategies to counter his manipulation of time and fear. You've proven your resilience against Almasp, but Shamhureş will be a different challenge. He will strike at your doubts, your memories, and even your loved ones. I clenched my fists. I've seen fear. I've felt loss. Almas tried to break me, but I endured. Shamhureş will not succeed where he failed. For hours, we trained. I ran through drills, each movement synchronized with the verses I whispered, each breath reinforcing the connection to Kadir's light. The floor beneath us seemed to hum in response, the residual power of past battles reacting to our presence. Kadir moved with me, guiding, correcting, and enhancing my technique. I could feel my own endurance growing, my patience sharpening like a blade. By midday, I paused, sweat running down my face, muscles aching, but my resolve stronger than ever. Kadir, I said, this plant, it's more than shelter. It's a crucible. We'll forge ourselves here. But what about the people outside? They still live in fear. Kadir's eyes glimmered with resolve. Our path is hidden, master. The city will not know until we strike. Fear feeds Shamhureş, we starve him by remaining unseen and ready. When the time comes, we will return, not as victims but as harbingers of light. I nodded, absorbing his words. Outside, the wind howled through broken windows, carrying the distant echoes of life, cars, voices, footsteps. It felt surreal, this normality juxtaposed with the battle we prepared for. Yet that normalcy was worth protecting. Every prayer I had whispered, every seal I had worn, every trial I had faced, it all pointed to this moment. As the day faded, we gathered near the heart of the plant, a massive circular chamber that seemed to amplify Kadir's light. Master, Kadir said, rest now. Strength will be needed tonight. Shamhureş will test the limits of both body and soul. You must be ready. I knelt, closing my eyes, and whispered prayers. The echoes of Almas's screams and the warmth of Kadir's light intertwined. I let the exhaustion settle in, knowing that tonight, we would face the shadow that lingered over us all. The real battle had yet to begin, and the final confrontation with Shamhureş loomed like a storm on the horizon. The city outside remained oblivious. But within these steel walls, we prepared to face the one enemy who had challenged time, fear, and faith itself. And I would not falter. Night fell like a heavy curtain over the city. The fog thickened, streets emptied, and the air itself seemed to tense. From the shadows, a presence emerged, not subtle, not silent, but absolute. Shamhureş had arrived. The steel plant vibrated as if it sensed him, the air itself warping under his power. Kadir and I stood at the center of the chamber, the circle of light around us glowing brighter than ever. Master, Kadir whispered, his voice steady but urgent, he's here. The darkness is complete. He will try to bend your mind first, as always. Do not falter. I tightened my fists, feeling the adrenaline surge. I've faced fear before. I've faced loss. I will not yield to him. Outside, the ground shook. The city trembled as if in warning. Then, from the thick fog, a figure emerged. Shamhureş's form was tall, cloaked in a darkness that seemed alive. Eyes like molten steel scanned the horizon, searching for us, measuring. His voice rolled like distant thunder. You dare defy me, Hüddam? You dare defy time, patience, and all I have claimed? I do not fear you, I shouted, my voice echoing through the steel hall. My faith is stronger than your darkness. You will not break me. Shamhureş laughed, a sound that split the night and made the steel walls shiver. With emotion, he sent a wave of shadows through the city. Buildings trembled, glass shattered, and the fog surged inward like living smoke. Faith. Patience. These are weak shields, boy. I will show you true despair. Kadir stepped forward, his light flaring. He manipulates fear and time. Hold your focus, Master. Remember what you learned with Almasp. We are stronger together. The battle began. Shadows surged like rivers, twisting the very walls of the plant. Time itself warped, clocks spun backward, broken glass returned to windows, and the moon flickered between phases. Shamhureş's voice boomed with each distortion, taunting and testing. Watch. Time bends for me. History collapses, yet you stand. I planted my feet firmly, letting the verses flow from my lips. The seal of light flared, Kadir's radiance combining with mine to form a barrier. Shadows met the light and hissed, sizzling and dissipating. No matter what you bend, Shamhureş, I cried, my heart remains steadfast. My faith is eternal. Shamhureş's form roared and surged forward, each step cracking the concrete beneath him. Dark appendages lashed out, seeking to pierce my chest, crush my spirit. I dodged, rolled, and countered with the light-infused movements Kadir had trained me in. The air smelled of ozone and burning shadows. You rely on your friend's light, Shamhureş spat. Without it, you are nothing. I clenched my teeth. He is not just light. He is faith. And faith cannot be destroyed by your darkness. With a surge, Kadir projected a wave of pure brilliance, forcing Shamhureş back. But the enemy adapted instantly, bending shadows into sharper forms, piercing the circle we created. The fight became a dance of light and darkness, time and space twisting around us. Every second stretched into eternity, every breath was a struggle. Shamhureş attacked with a new tactic, illusions of my loved ones, twisted and accusing, filled the hall. My father, my mother, Kadir's old human form, all twisted, mocking, breaking my focus. But I clung to reality, whispered prayers, and the seal of light burned brighter with each verse. Kadir's radiance cut through the lies, revealing the truth beneath. You cannot deceive me, I cried, tears streaming. All that is sacred remains. Shamhureş roared, fury shaking the skies. Then perish beneath your own stubbornness. He struck the ground with his fist, sending a shockwave that threatened to collapse the entire plant. But together, Kadir and I stabilized the space. Light and faith intertwined, creating a protective dome around us. For a moment, the battlefield paused, the city outside frozen, the fog stilled, and the shadows hesitated. Then, I knew, it was time for the final move. The culmination of patience, endurance, and faith. Master, Kadir said, his voice a calm anchor, now we strike. Focus on the heart of the darkness. Channel everything, fear, pain, patience, faith. Let it all converge. I nodded, taking a deep breath. Every scar, every prayer, every test converged into a single moment of clarity. Lord, I whispered, this is your fight through me. Let your light consume the darkness. And with that, we launched our combined power, not just the seals, not just Kadir's radiance, but the culmination of every trial, every prayer, every ounce of faith. Shamhureş screamed, the sound tearing through dimensions. Shadows twisted, fractured, and finally exploded into nothingness. Time snapped back into place, the city trembled and then fell silent. Shamhureş's body faltered, his form collapsing like smoke dissipating in sunlight. The dark fog that had plagued the city lifted, revealing the night sky, calm and clear. Kadir's light dimmed to a soft glow, his hand resting on my shoulder. It is done, Master. You have endured. You have overcome. I fell to my knees, exhausted beyond measure, yet a sense of peace settled over me. The city, oblivious to the divine battle it had narrowly avoided, continued its quiet hum. But I knew the world had changed, because we had changed it. The battle with Shamhureş was over, for now. But I also knew that vigilance would always be necessary. Faith, patience, and courage would remain our greatest weapons, more enduring than any seal, shirt, or power. And together, Kadir and I rose, ready to face whatever dawn awaited, in a world that now seemed both fragile and infinitely sacred. The morning after the battle was eerily calm. The city had survived the storm, yet every street, every alley, every abandoned building whispered reminders of what had almost happened. Kadir and I walked through the silent streets, the fog lingering like a memory, yet the air felt lighter, charged with a sense of renewal. "Master," Kadir said, his voice steady but filled with a quiet awe, "you've grown stronger than you know. Almasp, Shamhureş, they were tests. You faced them and endured. Few could have survived what you did last night." I nodded, exhaustion weighing heavily on my shoulders, but my heart was resolute. "I could not have done it without you, Kadir. Your guidance, your presence, it anchored me. But this is not over. Shamhureş may have retreated, but his reach is far. We need a plan, and we need allies." We reached the top of the city's observation tower. From there, the skyline stretched like a canvas, skyscrapers glittering in the morning sun, rivers of traffic flowing like veins. The city seemed untouched, yet I knew the truth. Shadows lingered, remnants of chaos waiting for the faintest opening. Kadir's light shimmered faintly beside me. "We need to prepare. Our enemies will regroup, and they will come stronger next time. This city, this country, we must fortify both spirit and strategy. But first, rest. Even the most patient warrior must recover." I glanced at the horizon, thinking of my father, my friends, the people we were sworn to protect. "You're right. But rest will be brief. There is still much to do, training, alliances, understanding the forces we face. We can't wait for darkness to strike again. We must act before it reaches its hand into the lives of innocents." Kadir nodded. "Then we begin. But remember, patience is not passive. It is preparation, it is resilience, it is knowing when to act and when to endure. You've learned that well, Master. Now we extend it into a plan for the city and beyond." That day, we began mapping the city, not just streets, but energy nodes, hidden chambers, places where darkness might emerge unnoticed. Kadir taught me how to sense residual energy left by Almasp and Shamhureş, how to detect traces of their manipulation in buildings, in objects, even in the air. Every alleyway, every park, every subway line became a place of vigilance. By evening, the city seemed ordinary again. Streetlights flickered on, cars hummed down avenues, children played in quiet parks, unaware of the cosmic battle that had taken place above their heads. Yet I could feel the tension, a faint pulse of something not yet dormant. Shadows lingered at the edges of perception, testing patience and watchfulness. We returned to the safe house, a converted warehouse on the edge of the city. Its walls were reinforced, rooms stocked with supplies, and protective sigils etched into the foundations. Here, Kadir and I would plan, train, and prepare for the next confrontation. "Master," Kadir said as he examined the old map of the city, "your journey has only begun. The trials you faced, they are the first layer. Shamhureş has resources, followers, and knowledge of your methods now. You must evolve faster than he can anticipate. And one day, you will face him directly, not through his minions, not through illusions, but face to face." I clenched my fists, determination burning through fatigue. "Then I will be ready. No matter how long it takes, no matter the cost. I will stand. And I will protect this city. I will protect everyone who cannot fight for themselves. That is my oath." Kadir's radiance pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. "And I will stand with you, Master. Until the end. Until every shadow is gone, until peace is more than a fleeting moment." As night fell again, we trained. Every movement, every strike, every prayer was deliberate. I practiced with the techniques Kadir had taught me, weaving faith, patience, and physical skill together. Shadows from the street outside tested our senses, but we remained vigilant. Every threat, every whisper of darkness, became a lesson, a reminder that true strength was not just in power, but in awareness, endurance, and the courage to keep moving forward. By midnight, exhaustion and focus combined to create a quiet understanding. This was no longer just survival. It was preparation for a war of light against shadow, a battle that would stretch far beyond the city, beyond the country, and perhaps beyond time itself. But for now, in this moment, we were ready. We had survived the impossible, and we would rise stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. The city slept, unaware of the guardians watching over it. But I knew, in the coming days, weeks, and months, the balance of light and shadow would be tested again. And when it was, we would stand unshaken. The sun rose over the city like a cautious sentinel, casting golden light over streets still scarred by the previous night's chaos. Kadir and I stood on the rooftop of the warehouse, surveying the skyline. The scars were subtle, but they were there: shattered windows, scorched pavement, twisted street signs, reminders that even when victory was achieved, vigilance could not be abandoned. "We've won battles, Master," Kadir said softly, his light barely pulsing in the morning sun, "but war is never over. Shamhureş is patient. He watches. He adapts. And soon, he will strike again." I clenched my jaw, scanning the city through narrowed eyes. "Then we need allies. Strength in solitude is limited, even with you by my side. We need people who can fight, people who can guard, people who can sense the shadows before they emerge." We started by reaching out to local communities, law enforcement, emergency responders, and civilians who had shown courage during Almasp's assault. Not everyone understood what had happened the night before, but fear had a way of opening doors to belief. I met with officers who had been first on the scene, firefighters who had braved smoke and fire, and ordinary citizens who had rescued others from danger. "We need to form a network," I explained to them, "a citywide vigilance. Think of it like a chain, no weak link. Almasp was just the beginning. Shamhureş will send others. People will come for this city, for its energy, for its faith. We cannot let them succeed." Kadir nodded beside me, his presence a constant reminder that our power was formidable, but not infallible. "We will train them, Master. We will teach them to recognize signs of the supernatural. They do not need to become warriors like us, but they can protect themselves, and they can act as eyes and ears. Knowledge is the first shield." Over the next week, the city's hidden corners became classrooms. I taught small groups of civilians to detect disturbances in energy, to sense the lingering effects of dark forces, and to use minor protective measures, sigils, prayers, and simple defensive rituals. Kadir guided me in adapting traditional techniques for modern use, using city infrastructure as part of our strategy. Rooftops, subways, abandoned warehouses, all became training grounds. Amid this, intelligence about Shamhureş began trickling in. He had followers embedded in the city's underworld, manipulating gangs and corrupt officials to act in ways that would destabilize neighborhoods. His influence stretched through networks of fear and deception. One evening, a young officer named Rachel approached me quietly after training. "Master, we found a place. Underground. It's like a base, lots of strange energy, wards, symbols. We couldn't get close without risk, but it looks active. Whoever's there is preparing something." I exchanged a glance with Kadir. "That is likely Shamhureş's hand. We must investigate carefully. But this is good, it gives us time to prepare before he moves. Preparation is patience, and patience is power. Night fell again, and the city settled under an uneasy calm. From our vantage point on the rooftop, Kadir and I observed shadows moving in the distance, not yet tangible threats, but reminders that darkness never truly rested. "We need to understand his plans," I said. "We need information, allies, and patience. And when the moment comes, we strike with precision. No rashness. No impulsiveness. We've seen what happens when we underestimate him." Kadir's light pulsed softly in agreement. "And we will. You've already survived the impossible, Master. You've learned that patience is more powerful than any seal, more potent than any weapon. Now we apply it strategically." In the days that followed, our network expanded. Civilians became scouts, officers became sentinels, and every corner of the city was mapped for potential incursions. My connection with Kadir grew deeper, and together we began experimenting with ways to combine human vigilance with divine guidance, subtle wards in alleyways, sigils hidden in plain sight, small but potent rituals to alert us to Shamhuresh's movements. Then one night, as the city slept beneath a crescent moon, a message arrived. Delivered by one of our scouts, a young man named Marcus. It was brief, but its meaning was unmistakable. "He's coming. Shamhuresh will strike before dawn. All preparations must be in place." I looked at Kadir, whose light flickered in anticipation. "So it begins again," I whispered. "The final test, perhaps. Or the one that will define everything." Kadir rested a hand on my shoulder. "We are ready, Master. The city, its people, and our faith, all are prepared. Tonight, we endure. And tomorrow, we act." The wind stirred through the streets, carrying a faint echo of something ancient and malevolent. Shadows lengthened, but I felt no fear. Every moment of patience, every ounce of effort, every lesson learned in the last weeks had led to this. We were ready to face Shamhuresh, not as individuals, but as a city united by courage, vigilance, and faith. And in the silence before the storm, I whispered a prayer. "Lord, grant us wisdom. Grant us patience. And grant us victory over the darkness." The city was tense in the pre-dawn hours, a blanket of darkness pierced only by the occasional streetlight flicker. Kadir and I moved silently across the rooftops, surveying the streets below. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified by the stillness of the night. Our network had warned of disturbances, unusual activity in abandoned buildings, sudden disappearances, reports of people hearing voices or seeing shadows where there should be none. Shamhuresh was close, and his agents were already infiltrating the city. "We must divide," I said to Kadir, who hovered slightly above the ground, his light dimmed so as not to draw attention. "You handle the eastern sector. I'll take the west. If Shamhuresh is testing our defenses, we need to be everywhere at once." Kadir nodded, his radiant form shifting subtly to blend into the darkness. "Be careful, Master. His minions may be smaller, but they are numerous and cunning. Don't underestimate them." I descended into the streets of the Western District, my senses attuned to the slightest disturbance. The abandoned subway tunnels were our first priority. Intelligence had indicated that several of Shamhuresh's followers had established a hidden base beneath the city. I entered cautiously, reciting quiet prayers as I moved. Every seal I had learned to sense for energy fluctuations, subtle disturbances that would reveal hidden presences. In the depths, shadows shifted unnaturally. Figures emerged from the darkness, their forms twisted and malformed, faces obscured by smoke-like masks. They moved with precision, their intent clear, to eliminate me before I could reach their master. I raised my hand and whispered a prayer. A faint circle of light formed at my feet, glowing with the residual energy of the seals I had worn. The creatures hesitated, hissing and recoiling. I spoke firmly, "By the Lord, you will not pass." The shadows lunged. They were fast, relentless, and seemingly immune to conventional attacks. But the combination of prayer, light, and precise defensive movements allowed me to hold them at bay. Each time a creature came close, it disintegrated upon touching the circle of protective energy. Their screams echoed in the tunnel, but no physical harm came to me. Meanwhile, Kadir moved through the eastern district with equal precision. Using his radiant form, he disrupted smaller pockets of Shamhureş's agents, liberating captured civilians and neutralizing dark energy traps laid in streets and buildings. His light illuminated the alleyways and rooftops, serving as a beacon for our network to rally behind. Back in the western tunnels, I pressed deeper, feeling the malevolent presence grow stronger. A chilling whisper echoed through the stone corridors, "You cannot protect them all. They will fall, as will you." I clenched my fists, my heart steady. "Lord, I am your servant. Protect these people. Guide my hands, my mind, and my heart." The circle of light expanded, pushing the darkness back, revealing a staircase leading further down, a hidden chamber where I knew Shamhureş awaited. At the same time, Kadir intercepted a convoy moving toward the city center. Using his radiant form and precise control over light, he incapacitated the dark minions, capturing them for interrogation. He moved swiftly, knowing that the sooner we could identify Shamhureş's strategy, the better. I descended the last steps into the chamber, and there he was, Shamhureş. Towering, dark, and imposing, his presence alone seemed to warp the air. Shadows danced around him like living entities, and the faint glow of his eyes pierced the darkness. "Ah, Hüddam," he said, his voice a deep, resonant echo that filled the chamber. "So eager to confront me. You've grown, but do you truly think you can stop me?" I squared my shoulders. "I don't act alone. My city, my allies, and my faith are with me. You will not harm them." Shamhureş laughed, a sound that seemed to fracture reality. The shadows around him surged, forming jagged shapes, twisting and writhing as though alive. "Faith is fragile, and patience has limits. Tonight, you will see both broken." I focused, feeling the remnants of the seal's energy lingering within me. Though my protective shirt had been destroyed, the lessons, prayers, and patience remained. I raised my hands and called forth a protective circle, reciting verses that amplified the power of faith itself. The chamber erupted. Shadows lunged, but the circle held, burning away the darkness upon contact. Shamhureş moved faster than thought, but I anticipated his strikes, countering with prayers, protective wards, and precise defensive movements. Each moment tested my endurance, but my resolve was unwavering. Outside, Kadir had drawn the enemy's attention. His light flared brilliantly across the city, illuminating key locations and signaling our network to act. Civilians and trained allies coordinated quietly, setting traps, reinforcing weak points, and securing escape routes. The battle inside the chamber reached its peak. Shamhureş's shadows coalesced into monstrous forms, each one a fragment of his will. But my faith, patience, and the protective circle resisted, forcing him to expend energy to maintain control. I realized then that his strength was vast but finite. If I could endure, I could force him to overextend. With a deep breath, I began the next stage of the plan: endurance, deception, and focus. I let him strike, absorbing the pressure of his attacks, while carefully drawing him toward a position where his own shadows could be turned against him. "Kadir," I whispered, using our connection, "it's time to act." From the city above, Kadir sent a surge of radiant energy downward, intersecting with the protective circle and amplifying it. The chamber trembled, the shadows screamed, and Shamhureş roared, realizing the trap he had fallen into. For the first time, I saw doubt in his eyes. The patience, training, and faith of both human and luminous allies had created a barrier he could not immediately overcome. I held my ground, praying, reciting protective verses, and maintaining the circle, knowing that the battle was far from over, but that this night, we had gained a crucial advantage.